Okay, we're going to try this for the second part, and now we're going to be talking about adverbs, which begin on page 430 in your textbook. Remember that adverbs are the words that add information or modify or describe, whichever one of those words you like best. They describe anything that is not a noun. Okay, so if you've got a noun, you've got an adjective. If you have anything else, you have an adverb. They add to the verb. They also add to an adjective. They also add to other adverbs. And remember that very commonly adverbs end in ly. Certainly they can end in other things, and there are occasions when ly words are adjectives, but most of the time adverbs end in ly. So on page 430, about the middle of the page, you have some examples, and you notice that doctors in ancient Rome performed surgeries skillfully. Skillfully is telling us how those surgeries were performed, and it comes after the verb. Notice that there is a noun between those. That's not at all uncommon with an adverb. Sometimes it will be the adverb will follow directly behind a word. And sometimes it will, if you have a verb, the adjective may come before or after the verb. It kind of depends on the sentence, and we'll be looking at that as we go along. When you have another adverb that is modifying an adverb, then you have to, again, just figure out what word is happening. The surgeons could remove cataracts quite quickly. Imagine that. In Rome, they were doing cataract surgery. I'm not sure how I feel about that. Cataracts is the noun. The verb is remove. So that what were they doing? They were removing. And how were they doing it? They were doing it quickly. So quickly is an adverb. But how quickly were they doing it? They were doing it quite quickly. So quite is also an adverb. You have two adverbs in that particular sentence. Quickly modifying the verb, quite modifying the adverb. And then you have the next sentence, the ancient Romans were highly innovative. Again, the ancient Romans were innovative. Okay, that's the structure where you have a linking verb. You have your adjective, your predicate adjective. You have your adjective in the predicate that modifies the noun from the subject. It's the one where everything is pivoting on that linking verb. So innovative is describing the Romans, but highly is describing innovative. So highly is an adverb, innovative is an adjective. Then they have the information about the ly ending, and the book is reminding you, you do not drop the L when you add an ly adverb. Again, that's because each suffix is a word part in and of itself. So if you have scorn plus a suffix full, scornful would have been an adjective. Notice the ful ending. If you add another suffix, ly, you change your adjective into an adverb. Okay? And scorn can either be a noun or a verb. We add full and make it an adjective. We add ly and make it an adverb. Each of these pieces, the root word and each suffix, has meaning of its own. So we don't want to drop any of the spelling of that. We don't drop the L on full, or we do not have the same word anymore. We have to keep that L. And so we're going to end up with two L's. There are a few exceptions to the rule. Most of those exceptions are words that end in UE. Truly is T-R-U-L-Y. You do drop the E that would normally be there. The same with duly. You were duly warned, okay? You drop the E that would be there. So most of the words that have an exception, you're dropping a silent E right there, but it's a silent E that worked with the U. It's not a silent E that made a vowel say its name. So anything that is the E hopping over the consonant to make the vowel say its name, those don't drop, okay? Really the only exceptions are words like this, and they give you those down at the bottom. The word like extremely, you can't drop that E on the end. If you drop this E, you no longer have the word extreme, because that E is hopping over the consonant to make this E say its name. If you drop that, you have to say extremely. The E can't say its name. So you have to keep that E. So really the only words that are exceptions are ones that end in like UE, where the E is talking with the U. Okay, there are very, very few exceptions, in other words. Double the L, keep the E. All right. They also tell us that some adverbs look exactly like some adjectives. The word hard may be an adjective, but it may also be an adverb. So you have to look at your sentence. You have to figure out what the word is doing, and then you can determine if you have an adjective or an adverb. Dr. Green Bay has a hard job. Okay, hard is telling us about her job, and job is a noun, so we know that's an adjective. But when we say she works hard, we're modifying the verb, and we're talking about the way that she's performing a task. And anytime we're talking about the way a task is performed, we're talking about an adverb. Okay, practice 3 is assigned. All you have to do is circle the correct form of the adverb. I think you can handle it. Some of them are adjectives. You have to circle the correct form of the adjective. Either one, you can do that. Now we get into the placement and frequency adverbs. Now, the placement of frequency adverbs is talking specifically, because adverbs in general are the words, the parts of speech in a sentence that can hop around more frequently than any other part of speech. So in general, adverbs might be before the verb, after the verb. They might, they can come in all different places in the sentence, and some of them can come in all different places in the sentence and have the exact same meaning. Frequency adverbs are an exception to that. You have to have them in the right place, or else you're not going to be saying what you think you're going to be saying. It's going to be very unclear. You're going to have a misplaced modifier. And I'm going to mark that for you, so you don't want to do that. It says place frequency adverbs before regular present tense and past tense verbs. So if you conjugate the verb in the way that we've looked at before, you make it past tense with ed, you make it singular first person by adding an s, you make it participle by adding an ing. That's a regular form of verb, and so frequency, which tells us how often something occurs, go before those. Medical doctors always recite the Hippocratic Oath. You couldn't say medical doctors recite the Hippocratic Oath always. That doesn't make sense. It's in the wrong place. Frequency verbs go in front, immediately in front of regular verbs, or frequency adverbs, sorry. Then it says place frequency adverbs after all forms of the verb be. So again, if you're using a linking verb, the frequency adverb is going to come after that verb. My patients are usually punctual for appointments. You're not going to say, my patients usually are. Now, a lot of you do that, but that's not right. Frequency adverbs have to come after the verb. My patients are usually punctual. That's the one on these that we're getting ready to talk about here, and that's the one you guys need to put a big star by, you need to pay attention to, and you need to really look at in your own writing, because that's the one that I see errors in your writing with. And then it says place frequency adverbs after helping verbs. Now, the ones that are going to come after the helping verbs, the ones that are going to interrupt your verb phrase or your verb, are the negatives. And remember, I believe we've talked about this, but I want to be sure that I stress this. Negative words like not and never are adverbs, and they're not part of the verb. So if I say, I have never been to Alaska. I have never been to Alaska. My verb, my helping verb is have. My actual verb is been. Together they form the verb or the verb phrase. I have never been. I have been. Never is the adverb. Okay, this little word here, never, that's an adverb. And it goes between the verb parts, between the helping verb and the verb. Okay? I have no socks. That's a not. No is an adverb, but it's going to go after the verb. I have no socks, because you're telling me what, how many socks do you have? I have no socks. In that case, I just said it was an adverb, but I meant to say it was an adjective. Sorry. That's an adjective. It's going to go after the verb. I have no socks. It's telling you how many. Again, you have to figure out what you are modifying. Okay? In that case, it's modifying a noun. How many socks do you have? I have no socks. I have none. I have zero, zilch. Okay? I have no clean socks. Okay? Now, again, it's become an adverb. That's crazy, isn't it? Okay, but what we're talking about is if you have a verb and you're putting the negative in between. Okay, it goes in between. I think all of you know that part. I think what you struggle with is finding what the verb is. Just don't include the none, the never, the no in your verb. Okay? All right, now we're turning the page to page 432. You have practice 4 at the top. All you're doing is finding the 7 errors. You have to correct the errors, okay? It says correct 7 errors. Be sure that you do that. All right, then we get to problems with adverbs. The problem that they're talking about is whether or not you use the ly. A lot of you do not. This is an error that a lot of you I do see in your writing and I hear in your speech. You don't say, I'm going to do that real quick. You say, I'm going to do that really quickly. If it is an adverb, if you are talking about the manner in which something is performed, you have to have the ly. The patients recovered slowly. They didn't recover slow. They recovered slowly. If it is an adverb, it has to have ly. And so this is another thing that I need you to really check carefully in your own writing, because it is something that I see errors in your writing and I hear errors in your speech. And undoubtedly that's because you also hear errors in your speech. This is something that we do. Speak incorrectly. And so we hear it incorrectly, and by hearing it incorrectly, we're going to write it incorrectly, and we're going to continue speaking it incorrectly. So just kind of stop and think about that, and that's another thing for you to look at when you're editing your papers. Okay, so practice 5, which is on page 432 and 433, is just asking you to find those errors in adjectives and adverbs, and most of them have to do with do you need an ly or do you not. The next section is another really important section for you guys. Knowing when to use good and well, and knowing when to use bad and badly. Bad is an adjective. Badly is an adverb. Good is an adjective. Well is an adverb. So again, it depends on how you are using the particular word. Are you using it as an adjective? Are you telling me more about a noun, or are you using it as an adverb? Are you telling me how you feel? Are you telling me how something is performed? Then you need an adverb. Okay? If you're talking about the degree in which something was done or is being done, that's the adverbial form. So you would need well or badly. This is also covered on the extra worksheets, which are posted on Lore. There is one assignment on that you need to do. I think it's number 4. But this particular section is covered on that, maybe even a little better than it's covered in your textbook, so be sure that you look at that closely. But if you look at the examples, Louis Pasteur had a good reputation. Good is modifying reputation. Reputation is a noun, so we need good. But when we say he explained, now we're talking about an action. He explained his theories well. We're talking about how something was performed, and so we need the adverb well. The same with the next sentence. My father has a bad cold. Okay, that's just bad is modifying cold, so it's an adjective. But when we say his throat hurts badly, we're talking about how his throat hurts. What is wrong? To what degree does his throat hurt? And so we need the adverbial form. Practice 6 is all about well and good and bad and badly. And like I said, the extra worksheets that I uploaded to Lore will help you with that. So you may want to look at those even before you do that activity. Okay, I am going to stop the video again, and so that I can get these uploaded in small pieces and then do the rest of the lesson. So this is going to stop and you need to go to part 3.